G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. You'll never guess where I am. I'm up here today in the Hunter Valley, and more importantly, not just at any vineyard in the Hunter Valley, but I'm at the Tatler Estate, and the Tatler Estate is owned by a good friend of mine. Spiro Izakidis and his brother Theo set up the estate maybe 10 or 20 years ago. The two brothers who spent many years in the pub industry, made lots of money, gained lots of experience, and they were made an offer that they simply couldn't refuse many years ago, and sold out of their pubs and came up here for a better life, and have created a masterpiece known as the Tatler Winery, which has some superb wines. So I'm up here this weekend with my wife Paula. There's a Greek fest which is happening at the Hope Estate. The Hope Estate is a winery up here in the Hunter Valley that has a magnificent infrastructure with an imposing stage area with a huge grassed area that hosts many concerts over the years, and many of the greatest names in the world of entertainment have come to the Hope Estate to perform. And it's only now that I realise why it has been so popular, because it is, as I said before, very spectacular. I was there this morning for a couple of vlogs, and I was very, very excited to be there for the sunrise. So I had the sunrise in one corner coming up, and on the other side I had a dozen or so hot air balloons going up for their sunrise flight across the Hunter Valley there, which is something that I promised myself that I'd do one day with Paula. Come up here, get up early, get in a hot air balloon and just drift above the magical wineries which are peppered throughout this area. So what I want to do is continue along my merry path of doing some book summaries, and today's book summary is entitled Attached, and it's by an author named Dr. Amir Levine. So we'll do a bit of a walk and talk, and I'll just walk amongst the vines here, and I'll pull up over here and we'll just continue the chat. But the author then goes on to talk about something, and he makes a quote, one of the beautiful quotes in this book, which is quite profound indeed. And he said that most people are only as needy as their unmet needs. And that's really, really profound. I don't know if you're able to get that, or if you're able to get a bit of a jolt when you hear that. But the author goes on to say that most people are needy only as much as their unmet needs. So what is this telling us? What is this telling us as parents for our children? You know, our children are needy to a point to meet their unmet needs. So people who have unmet needs are quite needy. So there you go. So So what can we say about that? What can we learn about that? Because I often talk about the fact that attractive women, extremely attractive women, tend to be cursed by their beauty because they attract needy men. And it's one of those things that you don't want to be surrounded by somebody who's too needy or somebody who's not needy enough. But you know what it's like when there are people who are too needy. They just become too draining in people's lives. But the author then goes on to say and to mention something which is really, really powerful, that that attachment is a prerequisite for a healthy and happy life. Attachment. So each and every one of us as humans need to be connected, and it's a prerequisite. Now this is a really, really deep and important point. Now attachment and connection is a prerequisite to a healthy and happy life. So each and every one of us need it. Each and every one of us need to be attached in some way, shape or form in order to have a meaningful and happy life. So what is attachment? Attachment, from the author's perspective, is a strong bond that helps keep us and staying in touch with each other. It's so easy in today's world to be detached and to be on your own and to feel lonely. I guess we all feel the loneliness from time to time, but the author tells us and reminds us that for us to be healthy, for each and every one of us to be healthy, for our partners to be healthy, for our children to be healthy, our grandchildren to be healthy, for family and friends, for everybody to try and be healthy, we need to be attached. And the desire to be attached to someone is a genetic disposition. So that's how we're wired. So as much as you want to believe that you're independent and that you can do your own thing and you can survive on your own, the bottom line is that each and every one of us is somehow genetically disposed to being connected. But with that connection, what we need to understand and to appreciate, with that connection also comes the many benefits, the health benefits, the social benefits, the mental health benefits, to keep us alive and well for as long as possible. Because being connected, according to the author, and we all know this ourselves, but we sometimes don't sit back and think about it. Being connected makes us resilient, and it helps us cope with the many stresses, with the many slaps, or as the Greeks call it, τα χαστούκια της ζωής. It helps us be resilient, and when we say it helps us become resilient and stay resilient, we're talking about good relationships. We're not talking about bad relationships. Let's not make the mistake of thinking that being in a relationship, any relationship, is good for us. The author here is very, very clear to say that it's important for us to be attached, but it's also important for us to be attached in a fruitful, in a good way. Because being in a bad relationship can only make us ill. Just like good relationships and good attachments help us become better, stronger, more resilient, a lot of people know that, the last thing you want is to be married to somebody and then all of a sudden to wake up one day and to say to yourself, shit, this is not good for me. This is bringing out the worst in me. This is draining me, and it's bad for me. So I feel for all of those people, and I genuinely feel for them because, as I say, and I'm proud to say it, I'm in a great relationship with my wife Paula. We've been together for many, many years, and I couldn't see myself not being with my wife Paula. We get on, we have our ups and downs, but our relationship is fruitful and a wonderful relationship at that. And I'm blessed because there are many times where Paula could have left me. I acknowledge that because I haven't been the best person. I'm not the easiest person to live with because I do have a lot of energy. I do want to do a lot of things, and I can be a bit of a pain, I guess, to some people. But I do feel for the people who all of a sudden wake up one morning and say to themselves, how the hell did I get into this relationship? And they suffer terribly. So the author then goes on to remind us and to teach us that there are a number of different relationship types. There are 3 different attachment styles I think the author talks about. And the three types are, the first one is being anxious. So being the sort of person who's always anxious and always wanting the other person to reassure them and to reaffirm them and to validate them. There's the other type, which is the avoidant, the one who's really, really independent and hard to connect to, but drifts in and out of connection. And there's the secure type. And what we'll find is that the secure type is the type that is the ideal that most of us should try and emulate and try and grow into, because the secure type has a lot of benefits that are really, really important if you want to stay together. So the author then goes on to talk a little bit more about each of these types, and they say that the anxious type is the one who spends a lot of time worrying whether your partner loves you, worrying why the partner hasn't called you, constantly worrying. And I could understand how this type of attachment style would be very, very draining. Now, I don't like people being all over me all the time and worrying about me and questioning me and being jealous, I guess, is another thing as well. Now, we all want to be free to be able to express ourselves, but to do it in a respectful way and to be in a trusting relationship and not to have to continually prove your love and to reassure the other person, because that in itself, I could imagine, would be quite draining and tiring. And the other thing is, you don't want to be always with the other person. Now, we need time to ourselves. Whereas there are some couples who just want to be with each other all the time. They work together, they socialise together, they do this, that and the other together. That in itself is something that, I guess it works for some couples, but it probably wouldn't work for me. The second type of attachment style that the author talks about is the avoidant. And according to the author, the avoidant is the person who values their independence more so than the relationship. They're the sort of people who want to be on their own. They're the loners who are happy to be on their own and not all that happy to be in company, to be with family, to be with friends. Prefer to be out there just reading a book and just doing their own thing. And they get irritated easily. You know, and we've had these sort of people. We've worked with these people in our lifetime, And you can imagine there are some people in a relationship who are like that. And they're the sort of people who take a while to get married. They hold out because they're always looking for the right one, the perfect partner, who may and who may not exist. Who knows? So you could imagine it would be quite troubling and challenging to be in a relationship with an avoidant, the ones who keep on pushing us away and wanting their own space. So the third attachment style is probably the ideal that we all should try and live up to. It's called the secure type. And this is a type which has a balance, a very, very strong balance and a good balance between caring enough and not caring too much. And what they say is that the ideal relationship is probably when you get two secure partners coming together, people who are self-assured, people who are comfortable with their own company, comfortable with other people's company, but not welded, not rusted on to their partner and not being able to operate, live and cope without them being in their lives every minute of the day. So the author also goes on to say that just having one secure partner in a relationship is also probably good enough to maintain a long-term relationship with somebody. If one of the partners, just one of the partners is secure, you don't necessarily need to have both partners secure, but if just one of the partners is secure, the author goes on to say, well, that may be good enough to maintain a long-term relationship, because you've got one person who is mature enough and able enough to keep it going, keep it together, and to be able to withstand the ups and downs of the avoidant type or the anxious type, if you know what I mean. So if you want to find out what attachment style that you are, what you can do, according to the author here, is there are many quizzes that you can do to find out the style that you are. And I guess looking back over the years, it would probably be a good little test for people to do before they get married, to try and understand what style, what attachment style they are, to be able to see and to understand in advance what some of the challenges may be that they'll have in their lives. So the last point to come out of this book from this author is that the author goes on to say that the best way to guarantee you'll end up happy in a relationship is, of course, we all know what the answer is, to communicate effectively. Not to communicate efficiently, not to just communicate, but to communicate effectively, which means to make sure that what you want to say, what you want to express and how you want to express it is received and passed on as you want it to be received. So communicating effectively, and I must admit I'm not a effective communicator by any way, shape or form. And my wife will tell you, my children will tell you, my peers, my workers, people that I've worked with will tell you as well. And I guess we all have challenges with our communication style, with our communication abilities. But we all can work on it, we can all improve it, and we can all get better at it, I guess, is the lesson from this author. Because where we need to get to in our relationships is we need to be able to say the right things at the right time. I always seem to be saying the right things at the wrong time, or the wrong things at the right time. So something for us to work on, as I said before. So we need to work on our relationships, work on our communication style, and most importantly of all, the last point to come from this book, from this author, is that we don't need to blame anybody for any of our issues and problems that we've got in our lives, especially our partners. So try and remove blame from your relationship, from your communication style, and don't dramatize, don't over-dramatize things. The worst thing of all is when you're trying to chat to somebody or talk to somebody about an issue or a problem, and we get over-excited and we dramatize things and make it, and turn things or make the things much worse than what they are. So try and communicate, try and live with your friends, with your partners, or whoever you've got a relationship with. Try and live with them without pointing the finger and making them feel uncomfortable, is I guess the last point to come out of this. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I think this is my fifth vlog for the day, so I'm on a mission to try and get 10 done for the day. And today I'm coming to you from the Tatler Winery, the Tatler estate, owned by a good friend of mine, Spiro Izigidis, and his brother Theo. And we'll come here tonight after the concert at the Hope Estate. I'll be coming here with my wife and hopefully a pareja. They've got a souvlaki sizzle and hopefully some music, and an after party that'll go on till the early hours of the morning. So maybe later on tonight I'll be able to do another 5am club from the Tatler estate, and we'll maybe have a few drinks under our belts and be a little bit looser. Be a bit looser than what I am now at 7 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, take care to all my friends and family. There's going to be 3,000 Greeks up here at the Hunter Valley, all going to the Hope Estate for the Greek Fest. So let's make the most of it. Let's live our Greekness, enjoy ourselves. Zito Elada, Zito Elas, and make the most of this opportunity. So thank you. We'll finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I'm well, I feel absolutely great. What a beautiful morning. Not a cloud in the sky. I was greeted by a beautiful sunrise and a dozen hot air balloons. Can't wait to get to the Hope Estate and hear Dimitris Bassis in fine form. I saw him at the recital hall last week, and he was just absolutely great. His voice has improved, and he was hitting each and every note. So looking forward to dancing and socialising this afternoon. Yassas, Vilakya, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.